Yeah, Neil, just picking up on what you said about transfers there. Obviously, I mean, you've mentioned that it's probably going to be a bigger job than what you thought. I mean, do you have in your mind now, though, set kind of what you think you will need in the summer, or could that, is that changing all the time?
It changes every time I read the Gazette, Craig. It changes every time I read the Gazette. So, you put ideas in my mind, and then I think, yeah, you're not bad, that, right? Or that's rubbish, or whatever, and on we go. So it is a bigger job than I thought, and I think you mentioned it the other day. But it's a job I think that's quite achievable if in the current climate, because I think most clubs will be very shrewd with the money they spend, and with what's going off at the moment, and we hopefully we've got to get to sign some of these players that we're after now, and if we can sooner rather than later.
Yeah. I presume it's quite a busy time then for the kind of scouting department, transfer department. I mean, are you speaking to them regularly? Are you about kind of players who'll be available in the summer?
Yeah, we have to do now because there's only 3 weeks left. So we really, and it's so difficult going abroad. I think we're trying to plan to cover a couple of games this weekend if we can. But you've got to get all sorts of permissions and COVID restrictions and travelling. It's a minefield at the minute. But we had 3 or 4 hours yesterday afternoon just discussing numerous targets, etc. And I'm sure next week we'll probably do the same on 2 or 3 days. Even though I know we have a game on Wednesday, don't we?
Yeah, and I guess that'll come into kind of trying to be proactive in the summer as well. I would imagine with the squad so thin, you'll want at least a couple in for hopefully the start of pre-season. Really,
I'd like more than that, Craig. If I'm honest, I think this is a year that if we are going to do well, I think we need majority of our players put in place. July the 1st, whenever it is, ready to go. Really.
Yeah. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, and just moving on the goalkeeper department, Neil. I mean, obviously you've got Bettinelli there, whose loan's up, and then Archer, whose contract's up. I mean, is that a position you're going to have to look at the summer, or will you be looking to kind of keep one or both of them on next season?
I'm looking everywhere really, and Sol's another one who needs. I look at Sol and I think he needs to get some games as well. So I'm looking at all the departments, Craig. Really. And then we'll sit down and make decisions as and when we see fit, and you'll see that.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Sol there. Could he be one who perhaps gets an opportunity before the end of the season, or is that more pre-season? Do you think?
No, I think anything's possible, Craig. With 5 games to go, I think my mindset changes every game. Really, with certain people, I'd like to give Coulson another game at some stage in that 10 role as well, because I thought he did well when he come on in that particular game. It's just looking at the opposition really, and can you play somebody, and that's just an example, but that's same with other positions. I am looking at one or two things really.
Yeah, and obviously with Bettinelli, I know you haven't wanted to say too much about the Barnsley game, but obviously he was partly culpable for their goal. I mean, when the goalkeeper makes an error, is there ever any temptation to change it, particularly when Bettinelli's been he's played every league game for you, he's been your standout number one? Is the temptation to change? Or?
I think you just when something like that happens, I don't think you need to say anything really. I think he probably just wanted to crawl under something. Unfortunately, strikers make a mistake and they miss a goal, and midfielders make a mistake and it's a pass that's gone astray. Centre halves make a mistake and it gives an opportunity to the opponents. But a goalkeeper, when he makes a mistake, it's fatal. So it's something you have to live for, and in a goalie's makeup, you have to have that in your mentality because it's going to happen. So I'm sure Bet Santa had a good week this really in training, but they've all been training hard. I watched them yesterday, and Sol and Jordan and Betts have all been really training hard.
Yeah, and as I said, Bettinelli has played every league game for you this season. So I presume you must have faith in him to give him that number one spot.
Absolutely, that's why I brought him into the club, and he's played, and he has made mistakes. That's the nature of the game, like I said, in his position. But 5 games to go, we'll just have to see what develops, and in the next. I only play one at a time, Craig, and it's QPR. We'll see what happens tomorrow.
I know you've been talking about kind of Dale and Tav maybe getting back before the end of the season, maybe being available. Is there any temptation now to say, do you know what, just we don't need that anymore. Get yourselves right. Have a break. Get the summer, etc., etc.
Well, you're picking my brain, Scott. I forgot to mention it to Craig. I'm sure Craig's still listening. Look, yeah. I spoke to physios, doctors, everybody yesterday. They think it's highly unlikely that Tav will be back before the last game of the season. And I don't think Dale would be back until possibly Luton. So I've said to them all, listen, forget Luton, forget Wickham, let's make sure they're right pre-season, July the 1st. So unless something happens, not a miracle, but unless something happens where they're in full training, I can't see me using either player now, Scott. I think that's just changed, like you say. Why, if there's nothing at stake, put somebody in a position where they might do some damage, where they could have another couple of months working hard, building up, which is what Tav and Dale have got to do with the injuries they've got. They've got to have a plan and a programme through the summer to build these legs and muscles up so that we don't have this repeatedly every year.
Yeah. And I was just going to ask on Grant as well. I know you've talked about Grant there. I mean, I know for a big chunk of the season when he kind of wasn't available, you've been kind of a little bit bemoaning the fact that you haven't necessarily had the kind of centre-halves that you like and centre-halves that can cause a threat from set pieces and that. I mean, Grant obviously ticks those boxes when he's been available. I mean, he is the kind of centre-half you like, isn't he? And he could be a really big player for you next season. I don't necessarily like to say the phrase hang a defence around, but he's that type of player, isn't he?
He is. I mean, you want your best players available. The thing that I've been impressed more with Grant than his heading or his contribution in that respect, it has been his reading of the game against quick players.
Yeah.
You probably question, he'll be a little bit, against a quick player like that or like him. And yet he's just revelled in it, really. His quickness of thought has put him quite far ahead of some of these quick strikers that he's been playing against. So that's what I've been pleased with more than anything. I always know he'll chip in with the odd goal here or there. But his reading of the game's been outstanding, if I'm honest.
And then just the last one for me. I mean, we are kind of coming towards the end of the season. It's obviously not finished yet, but when you look back on the kind of season as a whole, what's the kind of overriding? Is it frustration at those points that have got away? Will that be what's nagging you in the summer that you haven't been far off, have you? Really?
No, we haven't. It's having to ask these same bloody questions every week from people like you.
Yeah.
When I'm absolutely distraught that we're not in the playoffs. I can't tell you how frustrated, and I'd love to come out and blast everything in the media, but I've got to motivate these lads as well. Not just for 5 games, but next season. But if they're lads were
I think we can sense it. To be fair,
of course you can. I mean, at my age, you can't look to it's yesterday you look at, and I'm so disappointed. The 3 games I've just talked about now, you tell me why we couldn't win every game in those 3 games, even with the squad we've got. I just don't accept that, me. And I think in a normal situation we would win those 3. I go back to Norwich and we miss a penalty and then they score a bloody penalty and I thought we outplayed Norwich on the day. We've played Brentford twice. I don't think they've had a shot. It's one of the most frustrating seasons I've ever had, really. And it's only my desire to give Steve Gibson something that I wanted to all my career. It's only that desire that keeps me going, if I'm honest. I think it would be very difficult if I wasn't working for a man like Steve. It would be easy to say, oh, sod it, let me go fishing. Because you've got to have, trust me, you've got to have so much desire to be in a manager at this level, especially at my age.
No, I can imagine.
And I have that desire, and it upsets me when possibly certain games, I don't see that desire in individuals that if we had a little bit more, we would be in a different position. So yeah, the answer is yes, very frustrating, Scott.
Good, what you were just saying there about the attitude and how much it means to you and everything. I know that from speaking to fans, a lot of fans are concerned about the idea of the season tailing away, and there's still a lot of games left. Does that worry you at all about the idea of just sort of?
Well, I don't think. I think any fans that have been supporting us, I think they know that I won't let it drift away. If I'm honest, Robert, I'm not that kind of manager. And as soon as I see somebody drifting away, they'll either be hooked off the pitch or left out of the squad. So I don't think that is a, but it is hard when there's nothing at stake. It's very hard to move because it's like pre-season friendlies. I'm not a big fan of them really when there's nothing at stake. I like something to be on the line really. So we will be, they will be trying. And like I said, they're not really a group of players. It's just unfortunate that with the injuries that we've got, it always seems to be your better players, which is frustrating for me because I look at other clubs and yes, I am a little bit envious at times because I think we should be right up there. And so, my frustration, I'm sure, is shared with Steve. I speak to him regularly and I think we're both frustrated, but he keeps me going, if I'm honest. When I do get a little bit down, he's the one that gives me a little bit, So I think every man, who motivates the motivator, really, and that's Steve Gibson, thankfully.
And I guess going into getting a proper close season for once should have a bearing on next season as far as injuries. You always said that the fact that it was so truncated last summer and there was so many games played in such a short space. You said at the start of the season you were very worried about injuries and yeah, it's sad that there've been so many key and long injuries, hasn't there?
Yeah, we have had a look at that as well. I think in our medical department we've had one or two meetings as well, because the medical staff have been doing more than they should really. It's very difficult. It's been a hard slog for every department really, and we've got to try and look at the injuries that we've had and can we avoid some of these now? And the lads that have had recurrences, can we strengthen areas that they're not going to get this again? Do you know what I mean, Robert? It's because we can't do with our best players missing. To have any chance, we've got to have a number of choices each week, even with one or two injuries. And, it's been very limited lately, the choices that we've had. So it's, and I read all you lot, I keep reading things and you're telling me, I even read the other day where what we're going to Cornwall for when we should be playing big teams and we should be doing this, that and the other. They all know better than me, don't they, Rob?
Yes.
I hope there'll be a few going down though, won't they?
Yeah.
I thought they might do. It's a good week, that.
Yeah.
All right.
In all of your experience though, because you have got more experience than those fans, does it help a club to finish well? Does it even if you're changing personnel, does it help to pick up that momentum the next season?
Not really, no. I don't think it does now. I don't think it matters. It's just your pride. You should have pride in your job. I've got pride. I want to finish as high as I can. And I'm hoping my players have got that pride. And that's what drives me on. I don't think finishing when you're mid-table, it doesn't matter whether you're 7th or 15th. I don't think it matters in that respect. Because when pre-season comes, it's a brand new ball game then. And people have to impress me then from day one. And there'll be, quite a few new faces, hopefully, trying to impress me. So, no, but I do want to finish as high as I can, Robert. I think it's only right that.
What T-side?
Be bold. Be immersed. Be transformed. B. Teesside.
Barrack and break here.
You want Saville to go beyond them.
Saville's cut under the inside and options therefore are limited. Out wide now is Ashley Fletcher. He's taking up a position that Saville might have done. Shapes to shoot, does shoot! Oh, what a finish! What a finish from Ashley Fletcher!
For Merson, middle inside, Borough territory. Merson, just flicking got friendly ball for Campbell. Campbell, great finish! Andy Campbell! Andy Campbell!
Salas. And a goal by Henry.
The opener. Rangers with good reason to feel aggrieved.
In, it's a deep one. Madison rises to win it. Downton back. Mesto straight. Fire to there, Robbie Mesto! Lord hard into the far corner.
Good start by Mark Warburton's side. QPR in possession once more. Chet, what can he do here? Faced up by McNair. Tries to beat Bettinelli at his near post. Goal scorer on the opening weekend, Elias Chet. He was pleading for possession there. Difficult angle. Kept out by Bettinelli, but only just did get away from him. He's on the game, Les. Middlesbrough haven't really got going in an attacking sense so far. Chance here perhaps for Akpom, deflected behind. Just a sign of those two linking up. There's the makings of a very good front pairing. Britta Sombolonga and Chuba Akpom. Not concerned QPR so far too much this afternoon. Players clustered around the penalty spot. Middlesbrough do from this corner kick. Akpom makes his move towards the front post. Chuba Akpom bursts out the blocks for Middlesbrough. A goal on his debut, and that is why he was Neil Warnock's #1 transfer target. Back in English football and back with a bang. Flashed across that front post, and no chance at all for Seny Dieng. And Middlesbrough lead here after 19 minutes, just the start Akpom would have been wishing for on his Middlesbrough debut. React to falling behind. They've had some good moments in this game. Here's Spence, looks to send in the cross, but it struck his own man. Rides between both challenges. Elias Chair drifts inside. Still Elias Chair sees his effort blocked. Cluster of bodies around him, so he finds the space out wide. QPR have players flooding into the middle. Amos's effort beaten away by Bettinelli, but sharpest on the scene, bright Asai Samuel. And the Middlesbrough lead didn't even last 10 minutes. QPR pushing, pressing, probing, trying to find a winning goal. Carroll, lovely turn. Carroll's effort crashes back off the post and away by Fry. Brilliant defending. Middlesbrough hanging on here. And QPR will not know how they didn't just take the lead. Lovely turn by Carroll, back off the upright, and you have to give immense credit to Dale Fry. First to that loose ball, that was a certain goal. Fry got it away. He's feeling some pain for doing so as well. Looks like being a frustrating afternoon for Queen's Park Rangers. They've had plenty of the play, many more attempts at goal. Middlesbrough have been stubborn. Just fancy they can go on and win it here. Here's Morsey on the edge of the area. It breaks, but the flag has gone up over on the far side. Flag went up early. Relief for Queen's Park Rangers. No real argument either. Morsey frustrated. Just over 6 minutes left to play. Perhaps could have won the game for Middlesbrough. We'll see it again here. Assistant over on the far side wasted no time putting up his flag. Full-time whistle. QPR held here by Middlesbrough. Chuba Akpom scoring on his debut. A brilliant front post header after 19 minutes, but 9 minutes later, bright Asai Samuel with an equaliser for QPR, who had the better of the game but couldn't find a winning goal. It finishes Queen's Park Rangers 1, Middlesbrough 1.